Hey everyone, we're back in Jurassic World Evolution 3's campaign mode. Just completed the Kauai mission. Actually completed it about a week ago, but then I got sick and didn't get to putting this all together. So we're getting this a couple days later than I would have liked to. But regardless, excited to walk through the entire park here from the entrance to our base in the middle here with a bunch of dinosaurs to our lagoon that we'll round things out with and a couple of things in the middle here. As always, the idea is that these parks are going to be living, so they're always going to be updated and things are going to constantly change. So while you're sitting and watching this, if there's something that stands out that you feel like maybe should get tweaked or adjusted or something that would be cool to add in the future, put that in the comments. I'd love to look at that and see what other people are thinking, as I don't want these to be static parks. I want these to be things that over the life of Evolution 3 can constantly be tweaked and updated, just like any normal park or zoo would be in real life. But we'll start here at the entrance to the park, and we can go left, we can go right. It's really up to user's choice, dealer's choice. And so for me, we are gonna go left and start this direction to see the rest of our park. We're starting our park off strong here with one of our crazy maintenance drivers. All of our parks in Jurassic World Evolution 3 have at least one crazy maintenance, medical, or ranger vehicle in every single location. So fortunate enough, we're going to kick off our park in the first 2 minutes with ours. Not every part of the park is going to have dinosaurs in it, so this is just the entrance to it. There's a couple of fountains and statues, and a few buildings that are for employees, staff, the boring stuff to make dinosaurs come to life. But then we'll walk over here, and then on the left side we have a smaller enclosure, and then to the right here we're going to walk in to our viewing gallery, and this is going to be for our Dilophosaurus that we have here. So Dilophosaurus is going to be in Hawaii here. I tried it in every park here. If you haven't seen my videos before for this campaign playthrough, I try to not put the same dinosaur in every single park. I want to make sure everyone has its own space. Eventually, I'm going to have to start dipping in and using multiple dinosaurs. I did a couple here that people had requested to put in, but generally speaking, I try to keep dinosaurs isolated to different locations as much as possible to start, so every dinosaur gets a chance to be in the campaign itself. And the campaign is going to keep being updated, because as we get more and more dinosaurs to Jurassic World Evolution 3, those dinosaurs continue to be added to the campaign, and so we can start adding them to different parks as those go through. So we've already done it with Kentrosaurus. I also started looking at that with Dinochirus, and as the DLCs come in, those are going to be making their appearances in these locations and these parks as well. So our other dinosaur here to the left of our Dilophosaurus is going to be that Protoceratops. So Protoceratops came in with the deluxe version of Evolution 3. So we have a couple of them in here. It technically says, when I look at them, that their area is larger than it appears with the fences, because it looks like their territory is beyond that, if I'm being fair and transparent. But they can't actually get out, and they're not a danger to the people. So I'm leaving it the way it is, because it makes it feel like they have more space than they actually do. And in campaign mode, you can't really tweak a lot of the settings for dinosaur comfort, and so this is our quick way to get around that. Not that they need it, they have plenty of space anyways, but we have at least a couple Protoceratops in our park here now. Looking to the left here, we have our monorail that's going to take us through the entire park. We're not going to get into it because we can walk all of this ourselves, but it walks us right over to our, what do we have over here? Pseudoceratops. So we have a couple of Pseudoceratops. I think there's 5 in here right now. There is the mom, the dad, and then we have 3 juveniles as well in here. The juvenile ceratops are really fun to watch and to see them running around and interacting. We got a little bit of that today, and the enclosure here, it just hugs the left side of the actual map. I don't put a wall on the back or a fence on the back side of it to just make it feel more open than it actually is, but it is large enough for them that we don't have any issues with area and territory and needs, which is one of the biggest things that's challenging to manage sometimes in campaign. The other side of this is just more of those guest spaces. So we've got some seating, we've got some park benches or some picnic tables. And then on the back side over there, we have our hotel that's just built into the rocks. This came from the workshop. I thought it was really cool, and I thought it made sense for this map here where we can just build a couple things into the rock, and then added a couple more things as well to just make it feel a little bit more full and busy back there, and not just having one building by itself. But we'll keep going through the park here, and then in the middle of the walkway, because you can go on both sides of this, the middle of it is going to have Psittacosaurus. So if you've been watching these videos, Psittacosaurus is also in our Indonesia park, but I had asked for some feedback on some other dinosaurs that made sense for Hawaii, and Psittacosaurus was one of the ones that was requested, and I felt I could find a space for it in just this smaller strip of land walkway area in the middle here. It doesn't have any viewing galleries. I don't think that makes sense for all these small dinosaurs, and so since we can still make spaces and it doesn't really hurt or kill the amenities or visibility of the rest of the dinosaurs, and since visibility is not a big feature of this map as like it is in others, we can get away with it here, and I'm going to use it as much as I can in that case. But it's raining right now. We're going to get out of the rain a little bit, see if we can't wade that out just a little bit. But while we're here, if you're enjoying these videos or would like to offer some more feedback, put that in the comments. I would love to just get some more feedback. I'm trying to get better at this. Whether it's creating dinosaurs, parks, enclosures, everything here. Every little bit of feedback goes a long way, and I really appreciate every single one of those. Or if they're looking at another park that I'm going to be going into and building out, and this dinosaur that you feel like makes a ton of sense, would love to hear about that too. We're 7 minutes in, and so the next park I'm going to after this is the Badlands to finish that out. I've got a good idea where I want to put or what I want to put in there, but if there's a dinosaur that you feel like makes a ton of sense there, put it in the comments, and I'll definitely look at that and see if it makes sense with the rest of what we built out there. We're popping over and looking at the Psittacosaurus now without viewing galleries and just using some of the glass to look into it, which I think is just a really cool feature. I like to use the glass a lot. I think I use it a little too much sometimes, so I'm trying to find other ways to make these viewing spaces that don't actually have viewing galleries. And one of them, I actually have viewing galleries in this section, but one of the things that I've liked to start doing is making larger and more accessible galleries for us to go into. So this is one of our remote viewing galleries that I've built out. That's just larger that we can actually walk in and you can actually be in, where it's just another feature that I feel like we should see more of. So we have two different dinosaurs on both sides of this. This one here is the Concavenator, which was another one that came in with the deluxe version of Evolution 3, and another dinosaur that was requested or recommended to be put in this map. And I haven't used it a lot, so I tried to use this one here. They're really fun. This is a larger family. They fight a lot. They like to bicker. They pick at each other. They bite at their tails. Really cool to see this dinosaur in my first attempt at making a space for it. It's a little more open than I would like. The one on the back side is a bit full or more full. And this is another one that was added as a request and a recommendation, Diplodocus. Diplodocus is originally in the Badlands, and so I am moving, quote unquote, you can't actually move them, but I'm moving the two from the Badlands, and they are making their space here in Kauai now, which is where they're going to be staying. I don't know why this vehicle thought it could go through the Diplodocus, but we've got a couple Diplodocus in here, and actually, as we were going through this, we have some baby Diplodocus. So there's a ton of babies in Kauai here, which is great because that was part of the idea of this island, was to make it a space for breeding dinosaurs. And there is a ton of breeding going on here. So Concavenator, we had a couple of juveniles there. We saw I don't know if we actually saw the Dilophosaurus, but they've had a ton in there. And then now we've got Diplodocus and its juveniles as well. We'll keep going on here. We've seen those dinosaurs. We're gonna keep going down our little path here. And as we're gonna keep going through it, we have a security checkpoint over here. We've got some decks on the right side that people can sit in and just hang out with. I've got a barn here on the left, and that was from the workshop. I don't know if this is what they intended it to be for in the workshop, but I have just put a ton of storage units in here. This is where we put all of the supplies, everything that we need for the park. That's more for these dinosaurs, because we're not going to lug everything around the entire park. That doesn't make sense. So we have a couple more spaces here for them. And then I built these den. Well, actually, we'll get to those in a second here. If we go to the right, we've got another viewing gallery that technically you could go and look into that has a couple more dinosaurs. You can just look over into those. We're going to get to that just after looking at the buildings that I built. Because again, I'm trying to get better at this modular building. This is still new to me, but I've just built these. For this park, we're going to call these the den headquarters. So we just have some office buildings here that are a little larger, and then I have some skyways that go between those buildings that people can walk into. And you can't actually walk into them. The skyways are actually built out, though, so they've got benches and doors and windows in them and everything. But then we've just got a ton of administrative buildings there. We've got some food amenities for staff, or technically, I guess, guests could use these as well. But this is more just another space for employees to be living. We've got some larger apartments they can be staying at. We've got a bunch of their Jeeps if they need to be going around the park, to just put that together. So I feel like we don't always have a ton of space for just the employees that work at. And I'd imagine there's a ton of employees in a dinosaur park like this to keep it running. So we're going to put a ton of those here in this little corner over where on the back side of the Diplodocus. I feel like for a park to feel more connected, sometimes you need to have structures that repeat throughout it. And so what was also the viewing gallery structure is going to be used a couple times in this park in different ways. So over here, it's just as a structure. It's a building with a bunch of trees inside it. And then on the right side here is where we've got two different dinosaurs in here. We'll see if we can see it in here. Can't really see it. There's like 7 of them in here. Let's see if it's in here. Okay, so you can see its tail back there. We're gonna go around the back side to like where you can actually see the dinosaur to get a better look at it and see what it is. I feel like just seeing the tail is a big enough giveaway of what that dinosaur is. But we can just walk over here and we can look in. We've got some little information booth or panels here to explain more about the dinosaur if you just wanted to learn more about it. But we have a couple of Utah raptors in here. Where are they? Oh, it's right there. It's coming out in the middle. So we've got a couple of these guys in here. Again, another one that was requested that I love trying to find a raptor in here. I almost put the Ostroraptor in here as well, but I didn't. I think I'm gonna end up putting it in the Sichuan Basin. But I'm still open to different ideas on where to put it. But we've got a couple Utah raptors in here. Utah raptor actually shares this enclosure with Enchilodocus, if that's how you pronounce it. But we have Enchilodocus in here as well for them both, which is great because neither of them really want to mess with each other, because Enchilodocus is a tank and it's also not a carnivore, so it's not really going to mess around with the Utah raptors. So they both function in here great. And then our Utah raptors have a couple of juveniles, because again, everything here has a juvenile except for Enchilodocus. But everything here's got baby dinosaurs. And we have a couple of Utah raptors to just sit back and enjoy for the minute before we get on through the rest of our park. All right, that's going to be enough of our Utah Raptor and Ankylodocus in here. We can come back here another time as we continue to add more and more dinosaurs to the park. We have 14 different species in the park, and we will continue to add more because there's an entire other space in the park that still has not been touched and will eventually be added to with other dinosaurs that get added to the game in the future. So the Ankylodocus enclosure goes along the side here even further, and then you can start to see on the back side there our larger space with a couple more dinosaurs, but we're going to actually start from the beginning of the park again, and now we're going to go right to see that. Because if we went right, we have a couple more of the operations of the park that we saw near the beginning, but now we have just a couple more that took over this space over here. This is going to have the maintenance vehicles, rangers, medical, some more food and drink spaces. I also put in the pickleball court that someone had added to the workshop, which was really cool. I put that in at least 2 parks now, and it will probably make a couple more as well, because I just think that's a really creative and different thing to add. But then we're going to go down this 2-sided walkway here to see, eventually we'll go down all the way down there, but we're going to stop halfway through it to go into this space here for our juvenile dinosaurs. And we don't have any juvenile dinosaurs in here at the moment. So we're going to pop into the actual enclosure here to go look at the 3 dinosaurs that we start the park with. And so we have Maiasauri here, which makes sense for breeding dinosaurs. If anyone cares, we still have Cabot Jr. in our park, but then also have the Parasaurolophus, which are one of my favorite dinosaurs. We have Gallimimus, and there are a ton of juveniles in here. They just weren't up near the front with it to interact with people and to get some free food from the guests, which is fine. But this is where all 3, I just moved them all to this space, and then on the backs or on the side here where those waterfalls are to start, we've just built out one of those structures that I had for the viewing galleries, and then I've taken out some of the poles in the middle so that the dinosaurs can walk into it, and then use a similar structure here to kick off our lagoon that we're going to go into. So the lagoon took me a little bit to try to put together. I didn't want it to look like every other lagoon. If you feel like it does, I would love some feedback on that. I'm just trying to play with it and make it my own. So we come into it, and then it started to rain a little bit. And she's using an umbrella to get moving around, so that was creative. Didn't know we had Heelys as well in the park. It wasn't one of our stores that we put in. But then we've just got everything that we also need here. So we've got some hotels, we've got shelters, we've got restrooms, we've got amenities, and then we've got 2 different dinosaurs that we can go and see. Or we got 3 actually, I lied. We have 3 animals in here. And so we'll go on the left side here, and we can see, I just built out this like deck that people can go out to, and then it's roped off, it's barred off, so you can't actually fall in. You're not supposed to fall in the water on accident or on purpose to get into here. So we're gonna, in theory, you can't actually, but we're gonna walk into this space here, and we're gonna turn around. And this is for 2 different dinosaurs. We're gonna look in and see if we can see them. To see, we have Ichthyosaur and we have Plesiosaur in here, and there's a ton of them. And if we get lucky, we can see them in the middle here, which we can't. But we got a ton. Again, there's a ton of Ichthyosaur in here. There's a few Plesiosaur. There's an Ichthyosaur right there, coming up on the side of us. I like to just honestly sit on this deck and just look and see the dinosaurs as they're going around. But we'll pop into the actual water and see a plethora of Ichthyosaur swimming around. I'm still getting better at decorating the bottom of the lagoons. I think that's definitely a weak spot for me. And then Plesiosaur as well. So there's 3 Plesiosaur in here. There's 1 parent. The other one didn't make it. They're not here anymore. And then we've got 2 juveniles as well that are just starting in the park. So that happened actually as I was recording this. They came out of the hatchery, the nest. They came out of the nest. So we'll finish up our last animal in the park here. The middle of the screen here, we can see one of our Megalodons that's swimming through the park. But we've got a couple of different spots here that we can see Megalodon. This part here is not actually accessible, but I created a fenced off space for staff to walk into and to get closer. This is an abandoned, sunken viewing gallery that's no longer functioning. And then we've got just our Megalodon. So there are 3 in here. We had originally had a juvenile, but it has grown up now. So we've got 3 big giant sharks in here for us to enjoy and to see. Fortunately, I don't have any more in here because I feel like if I had many more, it would be a problem for our lagoon here to fit that many Megalodons. But definitely happy with how it turned out. I think there's still room to improve it, but a good start for my first lagoon, like full lagoon here in Evolution 3. We technically had a smaller one in the Sichuan Basin, but it was just for Mosasaurus. And next one, after this, will get even better than the 2 we've had before. But those are all the dinosaurs that we have in the park to this point. There is a space that as you're going through the campaign gets unlocked that you can have more dinosaurs and more space in the back there. I didn't need it. So I'm taking a Hyperloop and I used some of the glass to create what looks like, to me, this is an elevator. So it's going to take us up higher to that next level. You can also take, I've got a winding path that goes up. But this space up here is untouched. So it's under construction. It's going to be something that we're going to go to in the future for other dinosaurs. As we get further along and more dinosaurs enter the game, we're going to use more in here to continue to add to what I want to be just some living parks in the game. But that's the entirety of our park. That is our 5-star Kauai park. I'm on to the Badlands next. Thanks for watching this, and I will see you on the next build.